Welcome to the Militia gaming community. I'm Trigger, and this is my first hunt summit guide for the Crew 2. Let's go! As always, my goal with these summit guides is to prepare you to earn platinum rewards every single week. And that's why I put out the video before the summit goes live. I purchase all the cars and run all of the events beforehand so you don't have to. I'm not claiming to be the best in the world, but my advice is very good for the average player. Alright, let's get into it. First up is the Rockies Escape. For this, I'll be using the Bugatti La Voiture Noir with nitrochemist parts and pure and extra pump affix stats. The LVN does very well for the off-road section of this escape. Aside from the car, there are only two keys to this escape. The first is getting to the road as fast as you can, and the other is not hitting traffic cars while you're on the highway. The better you do on these two things, the farther you will go. I managed to get a distance of 27,000 yards away, which was nearly a top 10 score. I would say that you probably want to shoot for around 20,000 yards if possible. My LVN Pro settings are like this. Next up is the New Orleans Escape. To get the farthest distance on this escape, you must be using a drag car. However, most people are not able to control the drag car well enough to get a good distance for this particular escape. So I recommend using a hypercar if you can't use a drag car. And I'm going to be using the Bugatti Divo. I tried it both ways with the drag car and with the hypercar, and I made it farther with a hypercar. So the path you want to take is exactly what you see here on screen. I'll go ahead and let this full run play out so that you can see exactly where I go, but it's really just following this highway as long as you can. My Bugatti Divo Pro settings are like this. Next up is the Yosemite Slalom. For this slalom, I'll be using my Ford Focus RS. I strongly recommend the Score Breaker set bonus for your parts, as well as the affix stat Skilled and Pure. This one will mostly depend on your skill and the Score Breaker set bonus. My advice on this is if you have to drive a little bit slower to make sure you hit all of the pylons, then do so. As long as you have the Score Breaker set on your parts, you will get a very decent score for the summit. My Ford Focus Pro settings are like this. Next up is the Florida Trip Street Race using the 911 Carrera 4S. This race has a couple of shortcuts in it. The first is at 2%. Instead of following the road, you can go straight across the grass and then make that right-hand turn next to the house. At 36%, you can cut across the field to keep your speed through this turn. Aside from those two shortcuts, I would recommend getting a friend to help slipstream on this. This race offers a lot of highway sections where slipstreaming will really help both drivers. The obvious choice for parts is the set bonus nitrochemist along with pure and extra pump affix stats. My 911 Pro settings look like this. Next up is the new Hunt event. This is a brand new event, so there's really nothing I can say about it because we can't really practice this. You will be forced to use a Rallycross Enforcer unit and I lean towards the Camaro, but because I don't know the path of this event, I don't think I'm going to make a car recommendation at this time. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up is the Central Valley Rallycross using the Camaro RS. This one's a little frustrating because the cut in this race is pretty tough to complete in a fast manner. If you go back about 9 months when they did not have the nerf on Air NOS, this shortcut was much easier because you could shoot over that checkpoint into the rocks and immediately reset your car. However, now you have to go around the railing and then go between the checkpoint and that generator light and then reset when you get to the rock. So it definitely slows you down a lot, but if you practice it enough, you can make it clean. This race that I'm showing you was not as clean as it could have been, and my time was still pretty decent. Just take a look at the lap that I'm running and do your best to duplicate it. My pro settings for the Camaro RS look like this. Next up is the High Speed Drifter Rally Raid event. For this event, you will be forced to use a rally cross vehicle, which makes this the crossover event for the summit. At this time, the crew website did not specify which rallycross vehicle you'll have to use, so I don't have any pro settings for you. But I'll let this full run play so you can see my route. If I had Nitrochemist, I could have run a much faster time, but it is what it is. Moving on to the Miami Harbor street race using the Ferrari 512 Testarossa. There is one corner at 17% where you should cut through the concrete tube on the left side. This will help you maintain speed through that corner. And that's really it in terms of cuts. But make sure you have a Nitrochemist set with pure and extra pump. It will definitely make a difference in your times for this race. My 512 Pro settings look like this. And the last event is the Spacecenter Safe Cracking Hunt. For this, I'm going to be using the Ram Rebel T-Rex Enforcer unit. I find that it hits the hardest for all of the Rally Raid Enforcer units. This one is pretty simple, just crash the villains as fast as you can. I think a good target on this is under a minute. As always, keep the villains in front of you. If one gets behind you, leave it alone and just keep on trucking towards the next one. My Rebel 1500 Pro settings look like this. Before I go, I just want to mention that I stream my full summit runs on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific time right here on YouTube. If you want to come hang out with me and watch my full runs, you are more than welcome to do so. And that's really it for this one, guys. If you have any questions, don't forget you can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or Discord. I have a link to all of those in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to the Militia subs as always. I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.